The key wouldn't turn, not even a little. I stood there on my own porch in the kind of mountain chill that should have felt like home, just fumbling with what should have been a simple twist of the wrist. You ever get that weird slow motion panic? I knew right then, before I even looked closer, something was off. The lock was shiny and new, still bright gold, nothing like the weathered, battered old lock I'd known for years. Then, just to top it all off, I caught a shadow moving inside my living room. My living room. Suitcases. Actual people walking around, putting their bags down, acting like this was their vacation home. That's when I heard her voice, sharp as a slap. "Excuse me." I turned and, yeah, of course it was Karen Whitfield, HOA vice president, her whole designer look wobbling up my gravel drive heels, sinking into the mud face, a mess of panic and fake concern. "What are you doing here?" she says, like I'm the one who's lost it. Let me back up a sec. Otherwise, none of this will make sense. My name's Marcus Chen. I've got this little cabin up in Pine Ridge Estates, maybe 3 hours from the city. Nothing fancy, just a 2-bedroom A-frame tucked up at the end of Whispering Pines Lane, right against the National Forest. I inherited it from my granddad, so it means something to me, my one quiet place when the rest of my life gets too loud. I come up here 4 or 5 times a year, enough to keep the pipes from bursting and the critters out, not enough to be a regular face in the HOA circus. Yeah, we've got an HOA, wasn't my choice. Came with the deed like a bad joke you can't return. But mostly I'd stayed off their radar, until now. And Karen turned that HOA into her own personal kingdom. I'm talking measuring grass with a ruler, writing up people for the wrong color of mulch, even trying to ban wind chimes because, and I quote, they disrupt the mountain ambiance. So you can imagine my surprise seeing her out of breath, practically sprinting in Louboutin heels, staring at me like I'm a burglar. Now here's the wild part. Through the window, I can see this whole family inside my cabin. Dad, mom, 2 kids making themselves at home, and suddenly the dad, mid-30s, vacation tan. You know, the type opens the door and steps out. "Can I help you?" he says, shooting looks at both me and Karen. I just tell him, calm as I can manage, "I'm Marcus Chen. I own this cabin." The man blinks, then pulls out his phone, scrolling fast. That can't be. "We rented this place through mountainretreats.com, paid $2,000 for the week." I'm not kidding, my stomach drops straight to my boots. I glance at Karen. She's already inching backward, like maybe if she slides out of sight, nobody'll remember she was here. "This is all a misunderstanding," she says, voice going high and wobbly. "It's just a mix-up with the community property management system. Let's discuss this privately." "Nope, not today." "No, I say we're doing this right here. You changed my locks and rented out my cabin. Without asking, without telling me." The family's starting to catch on, the kids peeking out from behind their mom eyes like saucers. The dad, his name's David Park, I find out later, gets that kind of angry calm, the kind people get when they know they've been played. "So this isn't a real rental?" he asks. Karen jumps in. "Of course it's real. The HOA has the authority to manage vacant properties under section whatever bylaw, this and that. Properties vacant over 90 days are community assets." I stare at her, trying not to laugh. "Karen, I was here in August. I pay my dues. I pay my taxes. This place isn't abandoned." She shakes her head, finding her script again. "You weren't maintaining proper occupancy. Vacant homes bring down property values." I just sigh, pull out my phone, and start dialing. "That's the biggest load of nonsense I've heard yet. I'm calling the sheriff." Karen's face goes white. "There's no need for that. Let's work this out. We'll refund the parks and forget this happened." But David isn't having it. "We drove 6 hours, took time off. My kids have been excited for weeks, and now it's some illegal rental scam." While they're arguing, I step aside and call 911. Next, call my lawyer, Janet Rodriguez. Janet's been itching to take the HOA to court ever since they fined her sister for having the wrong curtains. She picks up on the second ring, and when I explain what's going on, I swear I can hear her smiling through the phone. By the time the sheriff's deputy rolls up, Deputy Mike Harrison, big guy. Real calm, the neighbors have come out to gawk, and Karen's called in the HOA president, Brad Tompkins, for backup. Brad's one of those networking types, always shaking hands, running his little real estate empire, and pretending he's doing everyone a favor. But even Brad looks nervous once Deputy Harrison starts taking statements. Let me get this straight, the deputy says, flipping open his little notebook. Ms. Whitfield changed the locks on Mr. Chen's property, then rented it to the Park family without his knowledge. Karen tries her community interest line, but Brad finally snaps Karen, "What did you do?" And I notice he's already taken a step back, putting distance between himself and her mess. Karen straightens her shoulders, gets all formal. "I implemented the vacant property management initiative like we discussed at the last board meeting. These cabins just sit empty. I put them to better use." Brad shakes his head. "We discussed it. We never approved it. We never authorized you to change locks, rent out properties." The deputy turns to me. "Do you want to press charges?" I don't even hesitate. "Absolutely." Karen starts sputtering, desperate now. "I was acting in the community's best interest. The rental money went to the HOA fund," and I say, "Really? Then why's the listing under KW Property Solutions, not Pine Ridge HOA?" She freezes. And then, in the most dramatic HOA moment I've ever seen, Karen actually tries to run for her car, heels and all. She doesn't even make it 10 feet before the deputy calls out, "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to stop right there." And she just stops like a deer in headlights. The next few hours are a blur. Statements, paperwork, neighbors whispering. The Parks, obviously upset, agree to stay as my guests for the weekend while we sort things out. No way I'm kicking them out. They're as much victims as I am. Meanwhile, Deputy Harrison leads Karen to the patrol car in cuffs, and she starts babbling. "You don't understand. I've been doing this for months. The Johnsons' place, the Walkers' cabin, even the Hendersons' house while they were in Europe. It's a service to the community." You ever seen an entire neighborhood go quiet all at once? Brad turns pale, and suddenly it's clear this isn't some one-off mistake. The investigation that follows is wild. Detective Sarah Chen, no relation, but she laughs when she hears my last name, starts piecing together the whole scam. Turns out Karen's been running her own secret Airbnb hustle for 8 months. She'd target cabins where the owners hardly visit, change out the locks, forge HOA docs, make listings under her shell company, and pocket the cash. She even kept a detailed spreadsheet, every rental, every bogus maintenance order, every deposit. $40,000, 6 different cabins, all funneled through KW Property Solutions. She threw a little into the HOA fund to keep up appearances, but most of it went straight into her own bank account. Once word gets out, other owners start coming forward. The Johnsons thought their place was being fumigated. The Walkers were told they had plumbing problems. The stories just keep piling up. Each time, Karen spun some halfway plausible lie, just enough to keep people off her trail. But when you stack up fake docs, forged signatures, and a side business no one voted on, well, even an HOA board can't ignore that. The DA, Michelle Torres, jumps on the case, makes it clear they're not just prosecuting for me, but for the whole community. Property crimes like this cut right through the trust that holds neighborhoods together, she tells the local news. When someone in authority abuses that trust, especially for personal gain, there have to be consequences. Karen's lawyer tries the old "she meant well" routine, says she was just confused about her authority. But when you're forging signatures and opening secret bank accounts, that argument falls apart quick. The trial goes fast. I testify about the morning I found strangers in my house, about the new locks and the sense of violation you don't ever really shake. The Parks talk about their ruined vacation. The Johnsons and Walkers explain how they got scammed. Even Brad gets up there and makes sure the judge knows nobody else on the board approved any of this. The judge doesn't waste words. "Miss Whitfield, you held a position of trust and abused it in the most blatant way possible. You treated your neighbor's property like your own piggy bank. That ends today." Karen gets 3 years in state prison, maybe out in 18 months if she behaves. Restitution too, over 60 grand by the time the dust settles, every penny she stole plus legal fees. The look on her face. Man, you could tell she thought she'd walk with a slap on the wrist. Instead, she's dragged from the courtroom, still insisting I was helping the community. Those homes were just sitting empty. Yeah, that happened. Now you'd think that'd be the end of it. But here's the kicker. Once all this went public, half the neighborhood started arguing. Some folks said Karen just got caught thinking outside the box. Others wanted to throw the whole board out. The Parks. They sent me a Christmas card, said their kids still talk about that wild mountain weekend. As for me, I changed the locks again this time. With a deadbolt, you'd need a tank to break, and every so often, I catch myself laughing when I see Karen's old flyers about community togetherness in the HOA mailbox. Funny how fast the meaning of community can change, huh? So let me ask you, Where do you draw the line between community good and personal property? Was Karen a criminal or just a cautionary tale for bored suburban overlords? Let me know down in the comments because trust me, there's always another story in a place like Pine Ridge. And hey, keep an eye on your own keys. Never know who might be planning your next vacation.